Ask Doc Saturday, everybody. Hey, balcony people. Hello, balcony people. Ask Doc Saturday. Are we live, Jay?
Yes.
We live.
Wow.
Live with Ron. Everybody, Ron Williams.
So,
Known to many of us as Master Ron. And that is not a pejorative term. That's because of his ranking in martial arts and his willingness to have taught many of us. Over here is the Master Barber, also known as Corey the Barber. I call him the Renaissance Man. Knows all things. Just some things like you're an expert. And I'm Doc. Ask Doc Saturday. We're just keeping it real. And this is actually going to be posted on Real Folks Real Talk YouTube channel as a prelude to my podcast. It's Real Folks Real Talk with Dr. Adolph Brown on YouTube. Well, Ron was just saying, we're talking about parenting, and how sometimes our children don't do or take the path that as parents we think is best for them. And I have come to grips with that based on my relationship with God, like how God feels when I don't obey it, when I'm not obedient. And Ron, I kind of really love what you said when you said, as parents, we want kids to see things through our eyes, and we want our wisdom and knowledge to somehow be expanded or shared with them. And that would be great in a perfect world, like you said. But that's not the case. They're in the world for, hey everybody, we're in the world, they're in the world to have their experience in the world.
How do you like being a grandparent to Aiden?
Oh my word. I got to tell you that it's a highlight of my life. It's a huge highlight of my life. I still pinch myself knowing that I'm a grandfather, and knowing that I'm going to be a grandfather twice. I know it's not reparenting, but it's like there's some things that you might wanted to do with your children that work or other things might have interfered. So I look at this as an opportunity. You know, I read to you guys, but I didn't read to you guys nearly as much as I'm able to read to Aiden. Also, there's some things that I know that are more important now. I think we played a lot of sports and did a lot of activities together, and I think that's important as well. But since I've learned more, it's just an opportunity to do things differently and to be there to actually see the impact of it. I don't know if you guys remember, Jordan, Miranda, growing up, how we always look forward to the summer as a family. Our children didn't look forward to going back to school, not because they didn't like learning. They didn't look forward to going back to school because during the summer, we just spent all of our time together as a family. We went on trips, we ate, we did so much as a family. How do you feel about being a grandfather, Ron?
this is maybe a little off, but let me refer back to, I met a person one time. We were walking across the parking lot going to his car, and on the back of his car, he had a bumper sticker that said, "Be as great a person as your dog thinks you are." That's crazy, right?
No, that's
but
real.
if you got a dog, and
That's
you're
real.
bringing the food, and you're doing the care, when your dog always is always glad to see you, always runs up, it always gives you a little energy, just receiving the love that you get back from your dog, because your dog always sees you as perfect.
Right.
And not to compare that to kids, but for me, being a grandfather gave me another shot at walking in the house and having, the kids in the house go, "Hey, Daddy's home, Daddy's home, yeah, it's Daddy." I might have been out in the yard cutting the grass or something,
Right,
but
right.
it's me returning, and
Right.
and everybody gets, take me personally, I get energy,
Right.
from the love that I get from
That's
them. And
real.
it's unconditional. It's just,
It is.
in some respects, it was a chance to to start again. It motivated, it lifted me, it made me want to be better, so that I could be what they felt like I was, upon arriving, back home and different places. It made me a better person.
How is life different from when you were in your 20s to now?
Oh my word. I'm much wiser. And my definition of being wise is learning from people that have already done things that I'm thinking about doing. If somebody did it and they said, I would always ask, how would you do that if you had an opportunity to do it again? So I think the difference in my 20s and now, I'm a listener. And I've always been a listener, but now listening is my go-to. I could be in a conversation, I could go to lunch with someone, and at the end of the lunch, they'll say, well, Dr. Brown, you didn't say anything. And because my go-to is listening. I find that I'm not learning as much when I'm talking. I'm a great listener now. I've always been a natural listener, and how I became a clinical psychologist. People would think that I'm a speaker, because my calling was to actually share the knowledge more vastly. But in fact, I consider myself a listener. That's the one thing my grandfather used to say about me. He said, son, you're gonna make it because you listen. My siblings would, he'd sometimes tell the same stories over and over as he got older, and they would leave the room, laugh in his face, and say things like, you already said that, we heard that. And I'd stay there, even though I know he said it, but I always heard something differently each time. Wow. And he knew that they were laughing at him, and he would say to me, you're gonna make it, son, because you listen. And I've always believed that. I think another thing on top of listening comes, or self-discipline is a part of listening. Not just listening to others, but listening to yourself, listening to the healthiest version of yourself. And a part of self-discipline that I really embrace is being stronger than my best excuse. So whatever it is that I'm doing, if I come up with an excuse, I don't care if it's a great excuse, I'm going to be stronger than that great excuse. Well, Ron, I think a lot of the discipline that we learned in martial arts, I think that stuck.
I would agree. To be disciplined, and for me, all the way back to taking that discipline and turning it into coaching kids, towards self-discipline. It is probably one of the most important things, that you can teach, because it is, you carry it. It goes forward. It's like training in martial arts. It's like you say when you send, a young person goes, to the military, and they go through all of the boot camp and disciplinary training, and it helps to take you outside of yourself. It helps you to see a bigger picture and how you fit into it, and
That's real.
Until you know that, then you are, kind of trying to make your own branch of a tree that may not exist. I don't require my kids to do something that I have done, or to, I don't tell them what to do. I talk to them about options, about the choices. If you do this way, here's what's likely to happen. Here's what you're gonna have to bring to this to be successful at it. Here's what could happen if you do it in a different way. So I don't tell them what to do. I don't make choices for them. I talk about options. All of their decisions had to truly be their own decision, and they had to understand it that way, because if something doesn't go right with it, they will also understand that I am the one that now needs to make another decision, that needs to realize that what I thought then didn't pan out, and now I need to create another path. I need a different decision in order to get a different outcome.
Well, Ron, we throw the term around all the time, self-discipline. But I think if we had to operationalize it in such a way that young people would understand it, would you think we'd come close if we said loving yourself enough to forego something now to make sure you get exactly what you want later?
I saw a video relative to that. I saw a video. Choose to work hard now in school. Choose to, and related to what you said, is choose to give up something now. Give up party time. Give up. Whatever it is that you do that keeps you away from this. Take your heart right now, and life will be easier later. If you try to do it in the reverse, that's exactly how it's going to happen. You take it easy now, and life is going to be hard later. But you won't select it then. You can select to do the hard thing now, and which requires self-discipline. You got to make yourself do it. Do your hard thing now.
I love that.
And life will be easier later.
When people that don't know, Ron, this gentleman, was very good friends with my brother who was murdered. Oscar. So he was there throughout my life when what do you call me? Would you say I was a knee-high, what?
Knee-high to a caterpillar.
Knee-high to a caterpillar. He was there to tell you how much of a stand-up guy he is. When my brother was murdered, I saw him before that and saw him quite a bit because he and my brother hung out. But when my brother was murdered, I saw him more. He was really concerned about me and about me staying on the right path. And I remember you telling me when I would complain about being in school all the time, going from undergrad, then to master's, and then the doctorate. And you told me I was smart by getting it out the way then.
What is the easiest stage in life to coach? Early childhood or teen years?
One more time.
What is the easiest stage in life to coach? Early childhood or teen years?
Oh, early childhood by all means. That's one of the things that I enjoy so much with my grandson Aiden. That I don't have to work hard to convince him that books are great. When I read to Aiden, he cries when I stop reading. Do you hear that, man? Ron, when the book gets on the last page, if I try to close the book, he'll start crying. I have to read books 3 or 4 times, and then I have to be very strategic in how I end. I have to have a distraction because he loves reading. So that was something that I think every child should have, but it's not something that every parent or guardian can do. It's not that we don't want to do it. I mean, life happens, and we got to work, and we got rest. We got to rest. We got just all kinds of things. So I believe that if I continue to do this with Aiden, and I know it's reinforced with his parents, that Aiden will be that child who likes to read. If you just start that one thing with a teenager, at the teen years when they just being introduced, you need to read more. That could be a challenge.
They'll be crying at 15 years old, then you gotta stay in the house and read a book.
As we talk about developmental stages and independence and autonomy, and we want them to have some independence, but when that independence becomes life-threatening or dangerous, right now in our country, there's a move to legalize marijuana. Now, I believe that marijuana is a plant. I believe that it has medicinal purposes. I even believe that in comparison to some prescribed drugs, that marijuana is actually more effective and efficient. However, I also believe that a young person in that developmental stages of a developing brain that uses marijuana is potentially life-threatening. And now we have a society that's saying it's okay.
I think they're trying to lull our young people to sleep.
Wow, Corey.
I really do.
Yeah. And the thing is,
I respect the medicine
Right.
side,
right,
CBD,
Right.
if you will.
right.
But you're correct. 14, 12,
If-
15,
Right.
18, they don't know that they're still young.
And the brain only hears, until you learn how to be a critical thinker, the brain only hears what it already has. That's what I mean with saying that. The reason, if we got in a debate right now, if you weren't a critical thinker, which I know you are,
Yes.
it's possible that you would only leave here knowing what you already knew.
Right on.
You wouldn't hear anything
Yes.
else I said.
Yes.
So children are like that
Yes.
in many ways. So when they hear that marijuana is legal, they don't hear for 21-year-olds.
Correct.
They're at 18 and 17. It's legal.
They don't want to hear that. It's a time and place for everything.
They don't want to hear that. So, and sometimes they can't. They haven't trained themselves to
That's
hear
right,
that.
that's
Train the
right.
brain. So,
That's right.
I think, Ron, what you're saying with that developmental, we want them to be independent, but then when you have a society, there was a time where, the television didn't have as much influence. Now you got social media. And now you got laws that are even, contradicting what some parents believe.
My idea about parenting, for my kids, involved being a part of it. I'm not. I know all of my kids' friends, all through their life. If they wanted to do something, my idea was always to make a place for them. Right there in the house. I have
You got this too. That's right.
A training
Right.
room right there in my house.
Gym too, right.
If you want to have a party, you can come here and have a party. You want to get together with people, you can come here. Not that you can't do it other places, but
Right. Safe
the
zone.
point of knowing everywhere my kids go.
Right. Right.
Where I don't tell you what to do. I wouldn't hesitate to have a serious conversation about something that I know is life threatening, and try to help them make a better choice.
As both of us as parents looking back, that a big piece of it would be to have the trust between you and the child, that should the child get on that path that you can't block or can't prevent, that at least they can talk to you about it.
Trust is in the relationship. They had to be able to talk to you about anything.
Everything. Good or bad, they got to be able to talk to you about it.
Yep.
Because you can help, ultimately. Now, guess what? I tell my children all the time, there's nothing they could do to ever make me stop loving them. They know that. There's nothing they could ever do to make me stop loving them. But there are things that they can do that I'll be disappointed. And those things, too, need to be told.
What resources or advice would you give parents who are impacted by virtual? Doesn't pop up the rest of the question.
That's all right. By this virtual learning, the largest thing, the biggest thing that I could have to say is words have power. And when I say words have power, if you say things like children aren't learning, then the children aren't going to believe you. If you say things like it's a waste of time, then the children aren't going to believe you. We have to do our best to make the best out of a really bad situation. And calling it bad all the time and talking about bad outcomes contributes to just the overall negativities. We have to be cognizant of what we say, because with children, more is caught than is taught at first. They're watching more than they're listening at first. What would you say? Because I know you have a daughter
Yes. 13.
in the thick of things right now. So what would you say about that?
Well, she's become self-reliant. She has no choice, and I love it because it's something actually it wasn't my strongest. You don't want to hurt your kids' feelings,
Right.
but now she has no choice, and the intelligence is just there, and she's doing well. So she wants to go back to school. She's reluctant because of COVID,
Right.
but I'm gonna miss the fact that she's self-reliant. So
Okay.
I see the plus in that.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
the
she
fact that sometimes we don't know what we can overcome until we overcome it.
That's right.
Thank you all for tuning in. Corey, Ron, and Jordan, the cameraman, we appreciate you.